Good day. Um, Today, I want to talk about the New York Knicks and the business of NBA basketball. First, before I even go there, let me first thank all the people that have been sending very nice comments and warm comments on my channel. I greatly appreciate that. That encourages. That's encouraging, and so I just want to thank y'all for that. There were also comments. There are some people I have learned that will comment on a video without actually having looked at the video. Maybe they're commenting based on the thumbnail. I don't know. But there are a number of comments I received which the videos did answer, but people were wondering anyway about the same question. For example, when we talked about Golden State and the proposal that I put out with regard to Andrew Wiggins and Julius Randle, and people kept saying, why would Golden State do that? Well, I did explain it in the video, but perhaps I didn't explain it clearly enough. So we're talking about the business of basketball. So NBA basketball is a sport. It's a game. It's entertainment, but it is also a business. Okay. So when we're talking about Golden State Warriors and the proposal I put out there with Andrew Wiggins, you cannot think of that as a fan of basketball. Okay. Because then, of course, it would not make sense. You have to think of it as a business owner. If you're the Golden State Warriors and you're looking at why the Warriors would do this, you have to look at this from the view of a business owner. So let's look at some numbers. I looked at the numbers for Golden State on the business side, which is why I came up with the proposal. Let's take a look at it. Let's talk about it. The Golden State Warriors, since their championship run, which has started in 2015 until now, they've been bringing in, on average, about $700 million of revenue. Okay? So each year they're bringing about $700 million of revenue, which averages out, just in general terms. It gets more detailed than what I'm about to say, but I'm just trying to keep it simple. It averages out to about $900,000 per game. Okay, $900,000 per game. Now, in a normal season, which right now, this is not going to be a normal season, and we're going to that in a second, which is why the proposal makes sense. But with their team that they have now, their key players being Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson, and now they've developed Kevon Looney, so now he's going to be also a key player. They have, when you look at their ages, Curry's 32, Thompson is 30, I think Green is like 32. They probably have 2 more seasons of championship level play left in them. Probably like 2 more seasons. Okay. So if you're the owner, you're looking at that. And if before this COVID thing, you're thinking, okay, no problem. We got 2 more years of run with these guys. We're going to, and the $700 million they were making will probably increase if they won another championship. And now, but now COVID is here and things have changed. So let's look at the business owner side. So you're making $900,000 per game in revenue. That's before expenses. That's what you're making. A lot of money, right? And you built a new stadium. The Warriors built that stadium. The city did not help them build that stadium. They borrowed money from Silicon Valley to build that stadium. Okay? They have to pay the debt service on $1.4 billion. Okay. The debt service on that is probably going to be in the neighborhood of $50 million a year. They have to pay that whether they're playing there or not. Okay. Maybe it's more than 50. I think I'm underestimated. It could be 100 million. All right. Which in a normal year wouldn't be a problem. But this year, the NBA is not playing 82 games. They are talking about a 62 game schedule. And just recently, the commissioner even said he's going to push back the December 1st date. So they may not even play 62 games. We don't know. But let's assume they play 62 games, which is the original plan. That's 20 games less than they would play in the 82 game season. That's $18 million less of revenue that they're going to lose. People don't realize, but they still owe the city of Oakland, from which they just came from Oracle Arena, $50 million that they have to pay this year. So they have the debt service on the new stadium. They have to pay $50 million to the old city. And no matter how many games they play, their salary for the roster they now have is almost $149 million. They got to pay that $149 no matter how many games. If they play no games, they still got to pay that to the players. That's guaranteed money. So you're a business owner. Your revenues has just been cut. Your expenses are the same. So as a business owner, what you're doing is saying to yourself, if you have any sense, how can I cut my expenses? You're looking at it as a business. Now, understanding the product that you have in the Golden State Warriors, you want to keep your core pieces. You want to keep your big three, Draymond, Curry, and Thompson. You want to keep that core group together. Okay. And you want to develop a supporting cast. That's how they won their championship the first time. They had that core group and they had a supporting cast. Okay. Which included Harrison Barnes, Andre Iguodala. They had a couple of players that were good support pieces. And that's probably what they're looking for now. But they don't have the money. Because one more expense I just didn't bring up just now. Because they are going to pay $148 million of salary, the luxury tax threshold is $132 million. And there is a extra tax payment if you're a repeater, which means you've been over the luxury tax before, which they were. And also if you're more than 20 million over the cap. So all this talk about them getting Ben Simmons, I don't understand it. If you're looking at it from a business perspective, they can't afford it right now unless they want to pay. And so, okay, let me get back to the point. So now, as it now stands, they're going to pay $50 million in luxury tax while losing revenue. They're going to pay $50 million in luxury tax. So you got $50 million that you owe Oracle. Okay. You're going to lose, and I'm being conservative, $18 million in revenue. Okay. And you got to pay $149 million in salaries. And now on top of that, a $50 million luxury tax. So what you're doing as a business owner, you want to say, how can I lower my expenses? You have this kid, Andrew Wiggins. He's not somebody you drafted. He could have been an extra piece, but at $30 million a year for the next 3 years, he's the one that's going to cost you the $50 million. If you can get rid of his salary altogether, if they got rid of Andrew Wiggins' salary, okay, if they were able to do that, however they were going to do it, their team salary would drop to $119. They'd be below the luxury tax. They would not pay a luxury tax. So by getting rid of Wiggins, they keep their core piece together and they save $50 million in luxury tax. Now, they'd have to get rid of Wiggins for cap space. Nobody's going to do that. All the other NBA, this is competition. This is business. So the other NBA owners are looking at them and saying, we're not helping you do that. Because number two things you're going to need. You're going to need a team with the cap space, right? And you need a team that's going to at least bring you back something in return. All right? So if you're a Golden State, that's how you're looking at this as a business owner. Not as a fan. Not a fan looking at NBA 2K. You're looking at this as a business owner. Now, from the Knicks standpoint, you could look at it as a team, as a fan. Couple of things. The Knicks are the most valuable franchise in all of sport. They're definitely the most valuable franchise in the NBA. No matter how bad they do, they sell out. The Knicks sell out. And so, with this idiot Stephen A. Smith talking about we need some box office, that's stupid. It's plain stupid. Because box office means you need to sell tickets. The Knicks already sell tickets. We don't have a problem selling tickets. They've been one of the worst teams for the last 20 years, and they still sell out. Imagine if they won. What that would mean, of course, is they'd raise the ticket prices and make even more money. But they make money at Madison Square Garden, okay? And even in this shortened season, the value of the team is such they're going to make their money. They're going to make their money. So money's not an issue with James Dolan. He's not an issue. Now, say what you want about Steve Mills. Now, the thing is that I supported Steve Mills very heavily. I admit that. But I also admit the reason I supported him is because I knew his family. I grew up on Long Island. I played ball against two of his brothers. He was a guy I looked up to as a kid because I couldn't believe a black kid could go to Princeton. I remember watching him when he went to Princeton. I couldn't believe that. But he had a brother named Tracy, and he had another brother that I played against. His brother played at St. Agnes High School, and they beat us when I was in high school. And my cousin was very good friends with them. So I was pulling for him because he was a Long Island guy, and I had associations with his family. Okay? But he was a terrible president, I have to admit. But I was pulling for him anyway. But one thing he did do that was right. He got us in this position where we got this cap space right now. Okay? And on the minimum side, we got 49.4, approximately 45 million in cap space. That's if the salary cap, if they bring it back down to 109. There's been talk, and the NBA has actually estimated that it's going to be 115, which puts us up at 50 million in cap space. There's nobody else in the league that has that much cap space. The New York Knicks have the most cap space. Okay? We just so happen to be a team that needs development as well. So you do this. You get the Warriors' number 1 pick, or number 2 pick, as it were. I'm not high on LaMelo Ball. I am not. But I'm just saying, and that's why I wouldn't do this. Because I don't want them to choose LaMelo Ball. I don't want to go after any of the point guards in this draft. I think they're all overrated. And they all going to need serious development. Every single last one of them. Even the best of them. And I think Killian Hayes is probably the best of them. But he's going to need 2 or 3 years of seasons of development. And there's no way the New York Knicks fan base is going to wait. They're looking to get rid of Kevin Knox after 2 seasons. And he's a 4-year project. And that's part of the New York problem, the fan base. I heard some idiots out here talking about trading Mitchell Robinson. You want to know why you see players go to other teams and excel? The fan base that talks like that. That's why. You're looking at a kid that has defensive player of the year potential and all-star potential in Mitchell Robinson. Okay? You don't trade that. And if you really want to talk about proper development, whoever you draft, whether it be Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, RJ Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson, whoever you draft and they're 18 years old, you better wait 4 years to make sure you're getting the most out of that player. You can't talk about trading him in 2 or 3 years. That's stupid. That's why we've been stinky. The fans need to know. You want to know why we stink and other players, Danilo Gallinari, other players go to other teams, Tim Hardaway Jr., and excel? Look in the mirror. That's why. So the proposal from the Knicks standpoint gets rid of Julius Randle. He was the worst signing in years. I mean, the worst signing I've ever seen the Knicks do was Joakim Noah, but aside from that, this guy, it was the terrible signing. He's a number 3 option or a 4th option, and they signed to be a number 1 option, and they overpaid him. They signed him like a number 1 option, and he is not. But on Golden State, a team that's going to pay $50 million in luxury tax, by taking Julius Randle, or say anybody with a $19 million salary, and sending out Mitchell Wiggins, you're saving $11 million. That brings you down from 149 million down to 130 million. Again, below the tax threshold. below the tax threshold. That's the key here. If you're a business owner. Okay? And then you get Julius Randle as a fourth option or a third option on that team. And he's got those champions around him and he's got that staff that will put it in his head. You are not the first option, son. And he's only there for 1 year. If you don't like him, you send him away or you trade him at the deadline because he got a team option on the fourth season, which you only got to pay $4 million for. That's a business decision. Okay. On the Knicks side, you bring in an Andrew Wiggins. Okay. On the trade, because we are sending out Julius Randle and bringing in Wiggins, we're eating into our cap space by $11 million. We're not using all our cap space. We're eating into the cap space by $11 million. We still would have $29 million of cap space. And now you got the number 2 pick and the 27th pick. Okay, so I'm proposing I said they're going to keep the 8th pick. I'm not trading the 8th pick because we don't have to. See, this is Golden State's problem, not ours. We don't have the luxury tax problem. So we keeping our 8th pick. We give them the 27th from this year. And I had first proposed the Dallas pick for 2021, which somebody in the comments made a good comment. Said, why would we do that? Why don't we give them the Dallas pick from 2023? I said, you know what? That makes sense. We're actually in this situation because it's a business decision. We're actually in a better position. This is not a basketball decision. So we get rid of Julius Randle and we bring in Andrew Wiggins and he comes off the bench. We draft the 2nd pick and we keep our 8th pick and we can still get for sale. Okay. And we don't know. I'm assuming if Minnesota got any sense, they're going to draft, Anthony Edwards. If they got any sense. To me, that's a no-brainer. But if they turn around and mess up and draft Ball or draft Wiseman and we could get Edwards, we in good shape. We in good shape. Okay? And then we still have $29 million in cap money. We could still go get a Davis Bertans. We could still do that. Because we still have the cap space. And that's another thing with regard to the cap space. You can't save cap space to the next year. Okay? You can't save it. You got to use 90% of your cap space. So if we have 50 million, we got to use 45 million in cap space. We got to use it. I'm not bringing back Bobby Portis. I'm not bringing back Wayne Ellington. I don't even want to bring back Bullock, but I heard everybody like, oh, we need shooters. David Bertans is a shooter. Damian Dotson can shoot the ball. We only paying him $2 million. Save that $4 million. Get rid of that creep. Send him walking too. We're not bringing back Mo Harkless. That's $11 million, man. No. Keep the players we got. That's our players that we drafted. Okay? Bring Andrew Wiggins off the bench. Let him play against second units. And that's if that fool comes and plays some defense. Because we got Thibodeau. He ain't having it. If you don't come with some defense, you ain't playing 30 million or not. Okay? And then, business side. If you're the Knicks organization, president or whatever, you push the NBA for an amnesty clause after you make the deal. See, I don't know. I hope they don't push the amnesty clause right away. Let Golden State suffer a little bit. And then we get that deal done or a deal like that. And then we push for that amnesty clause and cut Wiggins loose. See, that's what I'm talking about. So then we get the 2nd pick, the 8th pick, and Wiggins. Because it's a business decision on the Golden State side. That's what y'all need. It's a business decision. Not a basketball decision. Not a fan decision. Not an NBA 2K decision. A business owner decision. And you're looking to save money in a year you're not making as much as you did before. Okay? Now, I look for your comments. Hopefully, people look at the whole video and then come back. So, let's go over it one more time. So, sending Randle to Golden State, who's got expenses they got to reduce because they're not getting the revenues they were getting before. saves Golden State luxury tax money of $50 million. Business decision. The Knicks getting Wiggins gets their second pick and the 8th pick. We give Golden State the 27th pick of this year. And we give them, I was thinking 2021 Dallas pick. That's a number one. They got also next year, the reason and they're smart. They're already planning for the post-Curry era. Because they traded D'Angelo Russell to get the 2021 first round pick from Minnesota. It's top 3 protected. So if it may roll over into 2022. But it's top 3 protected. So if Minnesota is outside the top 3 next year, Golden State gets that pick. And if we send them a Dallas pick, Dallas is probably going to be late first round. So then they'll have 3 first round picks next year. Their own, Dallas's, and Minnesota's. Okay? That's why they do it. So they're already building for the future. Okay? They're already building for the future. So we take Wiggins. We keep our 8th pick. We keep their second pick to get Wiggins off their books. And then we still got our number 1 from next year. We still got our number 1 for 2022. And if we gave them Dallas's next pick, we still got 2 picks in 2023. Okay. Some people say, I don't want to give them 2021. Okay, fine. So we keep our both 2021. We give them Dallas's 2023. Okay. But either way, we end up with this year's number 2 and this year's number 8. And it's a business decision from the Golden State Warriors standpoint. And it's a basketball decision for us. Shalom.